ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूतां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वाम्नाम् अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् अणान् नमो भगवते। Hare Krishna, welcome you all for this session of Rukmini Sabha. We are learning verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, verse numbers 21 to 33, which are meditations on the various limbs of the Lord, which describes the beauty of each and every limb of the Lord for us to meditate upon. So now we will revise up the first 6 or 7 shlokas which we have learned, and we will move on to 3, 28, 28. Supriya is there?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome, Supriya. So this is Supriya, who is she is in New Zealand now at the moment. So she was in Chennai. She's the daughter of His Grace Gopal Krishna Prabhu and Her Grace Personal Lakshmi Mataji. We are very happy to have her. She's an expert in recitation of right from childhood. So now we start from 3, 28, 21. I lead and she will follow me. Sanchintayet bhagavatascharanarvindam
Sanchintayed bhagavatascharanarvindam
vajrankushatvajasarorugalanchanaadyam
Vajrankushadhvajasharoruhalanchanaadyam
uttungaraktavilasannakhachakravala
Uttungaraktavilasannakachakravala
ज्योत्स्नाभिराहतमहदृदयान्धकारम्
Jyotsnabhirahatamahadritayandakaram.
Read the translation.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet, which are adorned with the marks of a thunderbolt, a gourd, a banner, and a lotus. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the orbit of the moon and dispels the thick glooms of one's heart.
Next, 3:28, 22. Yachaucha nisrita sarit pravarodakena
Yachaucha nisritasarit pravarodakena
तीर्थेन मूर्ध्नि अधिकृतेन शिवः शिवो भूत्
तीर्थेन मूर्ध्नि अधिकृतेन शिवः शिवो भूत्
ध्यातुर्मनः शमलशैलनिसृष्टवज्रम्
ध्यातुर्मनः शमलशैलनिशिष्टवज्रम्
ध्यायेच्चिरं भगवतश्चरणारविन्दम्
ध्यायेच्चिरं भगवतश्चरणारविन्दम्.
Read the translation.
The blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by bearing on his head the holy waters of the Ganges, which has its source in the water that washed the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord's feet act like thunderbolts hurled to shatter the mountain of sin stored in the mind of the meditating devotee. One should therefore meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time.
Next verse, 3:28-23. Janudvayam jalajalochanaya jananya
Janudvayam jalajalochanaya jananya
लक्ष्म्याखिलस्य सुरवन्दितया विधातुः
लक्ष्म्याखिलस्य सुरवन्दितया विधातुः
पूर्वोर्निधाय करपल्लवरोचिषायत्
पूर्वो निधाय करपल्लवरोचिषायत्
संलालितं हृदि विभोरभवस्य कुर्यात्
संलालितं हृदि विभोरभवस्य कुर्यात्.
Translation.
The yogi should fix in his heart the activities of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by all demigods and is the mother of the Supreme Person, Brahma. She can always be found massaging the legs and thighs of the transcendental Lord, very carefully serving him in this way.
328-24. ऊरु सुपर्णभुजयोरधिशोभमानाः
ऊरुर्सुपर्णभुजयोरधिशोभमानाः
ओजो निधि अतसिका कुसुमावभासौ
ओजो निधि अतसिका कुसुमावभासौ
व्यालं विपीत करवाससि वर्तमान
व्यालं विपीटवरवाससि वर्तमान
काञ्चीकलापपरिरम्भिनितम्बबिम्बम्
काञ्चीकलापपरिरम्भि नितम्बबिम्बम्.
Translation.
Next, the yogi should fix his mind in meditation on the personality of Godhead's thighs, the storehouse of all energy. The Lord's thighs are whitish blue, like the luster of the linseed flower, and appear most graceful when the Lord is carried on the shoulders of a river. Also, the yogi should contemplate his round hips, which are encircled by a girdle that rests on the exquisite yellow silk cloth that extends down to his ankles.
328-25. नाभिह्रदं भुवनकोशगुहोदरस्थम्
नाभिहृदं भुवनकोशगुहोदरस्थम्
यत्रात्मयोनिधिशनाखिललोकपद्मम्
यत्रात्मयोनिदिशना किल लोकपद्मम्
व्यूढं हरिन्मणिवृषस्तनयोरमुष्य
व्यूढं हरिन्मणिवृषस्तनयोरमुष्य
ध्यायेद्वयं विशदहारमयूखगौरम्
ध्यायेद्वयं विशदहारमयूखगौरम्.
Translation.
The yogi should then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel, which is the foundation of the entire universe, sprang the lotus stem containing all the different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds and which appear whitish because of the rays of the milk white pearl necklaces adorning his chest.
328-26. वक्षोधिवासं वृषभस्य महाविभूतेः
वक्षोद्विषास ऋषभस्य महाविभूतेः
पुंसां मनोनयन निर्वृतिमादधानम्
पुंसा मनोनयननिर्वृत्तिम् आददानम्
कण्ठं च कौस्तुभमणेरधिभूषणार्थम्
कण्ठं च कौस्तुभमणेरधिभूषणार्थम्
कुर्यान्मनस्यखिललोकनमस्कृतस्य
कुर्यान्मनस्यखिललोकनमस्कृतस्य.
Translation.
The yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of the goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his mind the neck of the personality of Godhead, who is adored by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustubha gem, which hangs on his chest.
Next, read 28-27. बाहुंश्च मन्दरगिरेः परिवर्तनेन
बाहुंश्च मन्दरगिरेः परिवर्तनेन
निर्णिक्तबाहुवलयानधिलोकपालान्
निर्निक्तबाहुवलयान् अधिलोकपालान्
सञ्चिन्तयेत् दशशतारमसह्य तेजः
सञ्चिन्तयेत् दशशतारमसह्यतेजः
शङ्खं च तत्करसरोरुहराजहंसम्
शङ्खं च तत्करसरोरुहराजहंसम्.
Translation.
The yogi should further meditate upon the Lord's forearms, which are the source of all the power of the demigods who control the various functions of the material nature. Then the yogi should concentrate on the polished ornaments which were burnished by Mount Mandara as it revolved. He should also duly contemplate the Lord's discus, the Sudarshana Chakra, which contains 1,000 spokes and a dazzling luster, as well as the conch, which looks like a swan in his lotus-like palm.
Now we move to 3:28, which is today's verse. Okay. कौमोदकीं भगवतो दयितां स्मरेत
कौमोदकीं भगवतो दयितां स्मरेत
दिग्धाम् अरातिभटशोणितकर्दमेन
दिग्धाम् अरातिभटशोणितकर्दमेन
मालां मधुव्रतवरूथगिरोपघुष्टाम्
माला मधुव्रतवरूतगिरोपघुष्टाम्
चैत्यस्य तत्त्वममलं मणिमस्य कण्ठे
चैत्यस्य तत्त्वममलं मणिमस्य कण्ठे.
Read the synonyms first, then we will read the translation.
Kaumodakim, the club named Kaumodaki, Bhagavataha, of the personality of Godhead, Dayitam, very dear, Smareta, one should remember, Dikdam, smeared, Arati, of the enemies, Bhata, soldiers, Shonita Kardamena, with the bloodstains, Malam, the garland, Madhuvrata, of bumblebee, Varuta, of a swarm, Gira, with the sound, Upagushtam, surrounded, Chaityasya, of the living entity, Tattvam, principle, truth, Amalam, pure, Manim, the pearl necklace, Asya, of the Lord, Kante, on the neck.
Now you go to the translation.
The yogi should meditate upon his club, which is named Kaumodaki and is very dear to him. This club smashes the demons who are always inimical soldiers and is smeared with their blood. One should also concentrate on the nice garland on the neck of the Lord, which is always surrounded by bumblebees with their nice buzzing sound, and one should meditate upon the pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in his service.
This is a very beautiful verse. Here again, we are meditating on three things here. One is Kaumodaki, the Gada of the Lord. It is called Kaumodaki. And then the beautiful garland which the Lord is wearing. And three, the pearl necklace which the Lord is wearing. So you can see the beautiful picture. The Lord is wearing, see, he's wearing a nice garland. And then he's having the necklace around his neck, pearl necklace around his neck. And the third thing is, we are also meditating on the Kaumodaki, which is the Gada. You can see the Gada also in the picture, no? It's put on the top. So Krishna holds the Gada in his hand. So this is what we should keep meditating. The last class we saw about the Shankha and the Chakra and the Bahu Valaya of the Lord. All this we saw. So here we are talking about two kinds of living entities. One is here it is referred to as the demons, who are always the inimical soldiers, and so the Gada is smeared with their blood. So first it is talking about these demons who are inimical soldiers, and number two, it is talking about again in the last line. If you can see the translation, it also talks about it representing the necklace on the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in his service. So we have to understand both the demons and the pure living entities. Both of them are belong to Krishna. So they are all, Krishna claims in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I am the Aham Bija Pradapita, Krishna says. So Krishna, we all belong. The demons also belong to Krishna. They are also the children of Krishna. And the pure living entities also belong to Krishna. But the way he deals with them depends upon how we deal with the Lord. So that is why there is a beautiful verse which is quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Leela 8.6. It says, it describes, it is written by Sridhara Swami. It describes about the Narasimha form of the Lord, and it says, Ugropi anugrayeva yam svabhaktanam nrikeshari keshariva swapodanam anyesham ugra vikramaha. It says, Ugrapi. Ugra means no, very ferocious. Then we call him Ugra Narasimha. No? So Ugrapi anugrayeva. He becomes not ferocious for whom? Swabhaktanam Rikeshari. So for his own devotees, Keshari is not very Nrikeshari. Keshari means lion. Nrikeshari means the Lord who came in the form of a man-lion incarnation. So he is not very ferocious for the devotees to look at. Even though now the lion's form is very ferocious, of course it is very ferocious to look at. But the Narasimha Rupa is not very ferocious for the devotees, because it gives a very beautiful comparison. Keshariva Swapotanam Anyesham Ugra Vikramaha. It says that similarly, although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. So even though the lioness is a very ferocious animal, but to her own cubs, Swapotana, how does the lioness behave? She is a mother, so she is very loving and affectionate. In the same way, even though the Lord is Ugra Narasimha, for his bhaktas, he doesn't look ferocious at all. He looks very pleasing actually. That is why Prahlad Maharaj, he was a 5-year-old boy who came in front of this very Ugra form of the Lord. And all the Devatas said, we are unable to pacify him. You please go and pacify. Like that. Say any 5-year-old child, how much he will be afraid seeing that big, huge form of the Lord with the blade, with his blood coming out of his mouth and fiery manes and everything. He's sitting there. But he says that Naham bibhemi ajitateti bhayanakasya Jihvarkanetra bhukutira basokradamstran Amtras sajakshata jakesha rashanku karnan Nirhrada bhita digibad haribinna kagran. Naham bibhemi, he says. Prahlad Maharaj says, I am not afraid of this very ferocious form of the Lord, because this is what the verse says. Ugropi anugrayevayam swabhaktana rikeshani. So this is the way the Lord reciprocates according to the way the living entities behave. Yayatama prapadyante. So that is what we understand. The two kinds of living entities are discussed in this verse. And now we move to understand the three things which are mentioned in this verse. So first we meditate upon on Kaumodaki. Kaumodaki is the name of the Gada which the Lord holds. The word Kaumodaki also means, the word Ku always represents the earth. Kuja also means one who is born from the earth. Kuja. So, Ku Modaki. Modaki means one who gives pleasure to the earth. That is called Kaumodaki. That's something which gives pleasure to the earth by relieving it of all the demons, by relieving the Bhumi Devi, by smashing all the demons. The Gada is giving pleasure to the land, earth, Bhumi. That is why it is called Kaumodaki. This Kaumodaki, there are not many pastimes. If you just see in a Bhagavatam, they are not very, very famous pastimes where the Lord is using the Gada. Mostly it will be Sudarshana Chakra. Sudarshana Chakra, many pastimes are there. But generally, we don't see much of Kaumodaki or of the Gada pastimes. But of course, if you go deep into Bhagavatam, we can see that there are a few pastimes which the Lord has performed with the help of the Kaumodaki Gada. And the first canto, we can see that when Parikshit, in the pastime of Parikshit Maharaj, when Parikshit is in the womb of his mother, Uttara, at that time, what is happening? The Lord is encircling around. He's taking the form of a small 400 form of Vishnu. The Lord goes inside the womb of Uttara, and then the Gada is like a shooting star, it says. The verse says that the Gada, like a shooting star, is going around the Lord. So when the Lord is going around the baby inside the womb to protect the Parikshit Maharaj, who is in the womb of Uttara, the Gada, in order to protect the Lord, just like a shooting star, it is encircling and going around and around the Lord. That is what Bhagavatam says. And this is one instance. And another is the third canto. We can see in the Varaha Avatar, we can see that the Lord is using the club to fight with the Hiranyaksha, because Hiranyaksha is using a club also. So it is said in the Dharma, it is a battlefield. The Dharma is that whatever the opposite, the two living entities who are fighting with each other, they should be holding the same kind of weapon. So it is not that one is holding a bow and arrow and the other is using a sword with him. It is not like that. It is not a Kshatriya dharma. That the fight should be between the equals. That is the dharma. So that when one person is fighting from the chariot, and the other person is standing on the ground, the chariot person should come down and fight with the person who is standing on the ground. These are all the important rules which they followed in those times. The fight was dharmic. It is not like now, in the border, so many things are going on. The China is coming and then it is putting on all its armory in there. It is not like that. They all followed a certain nice rules and regulations. It was a dharmic fight. That is why it says Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. So the fight was always dharmic. So here we can see that in the Varaha Avatar also, Krishna takes the club in order to fight with Hiranyaksha. And another pastime we can see is the pastime of the Mura demon, where the Krishna goes to fight with the Bhaumasura. Bhaumasura's another name is also Narakasura. So Narakasura is actually the son of Bhumi Devi. Bhaumasura, that is why he's called Bhaumasura, son of Bhumi Devi. And he was creating a lot of atrocities because of his association with a demon called Mura. So that is why he was completely spoiled, and he had captured 16,100 princes, and they were all under his control. All these atrocities he was doing. So in order to relieve all the princes, Krishna went along with Satyabhama. At that time, it is very beautifully described in Bhagavatam how the Pragjyotishapura, the place belonging to Bhaumasura, was. And it is said, in those days itself, it was surrounded by so many, moats, they call it. The water canal was there around the city so that nobody can enter into it. Forts were there around, then one circle of forts, one circle of water canals, then one circle of, it says the Mura demon has constructed electric wiring, it seems. Bhagavatam says there are electric wiring, cabled wires which were put around the city, just like nowadays we have for security purpose, we can put in the house also. The electric alarms, around the house, they will put the wiring, and anywhere the person touches the wire, the alarm will shout. So this was done not now. It is not. It is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Mura demon was so intelligent to put this electric wiring around the city. So with all these, and then there was a surrounding of, it says air. So that air we cannot enter into. So many protection was given to the city. There Krishna went along with Satyabhama, and at that time when the Mura demon was there, he was standing in the gates, as a protecting the gates. At that time it is said that the Mura demon was holding a demon club, the club in his hand, and that is why Krishna also shattered his chest with his club. Kaumodaki, it is nicely mentioned there. So this is the way he killed Mura demon. That is why another name is Murari. So and then another pastime is the killing of Dantavakra is mentioned in Bhagavatam. If you go to the 78th chapter in the Krishna book also, we can read this nice pastime of Dantavakra. And Dantavakra, as we all know, is clubbed together with Shishupala always, because we know that Jaya and Vijaya had 3 janmas here One is Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, then Ravana, Kumbhakarna, then another was Shishupala and Dantavakra. But he is not much heard about because there is only his very simple pastime in one of the chapters in the Bhagavatam that is there, the 78th chapter. And this demon called Dantavakra was a close friend of Shalva. Shalva, as we all know, he was the one who wanted to marry Amba, who was supposed to be married by this Bhishma Deva carried no Amba with Dhritarashtra and Dhritarashtra to marry. He carried away the kings of the children of the kings of Kashi, and one of them was Amba. But this Amba was already in love with a king called Shalva, King Shalva. But because he was forcibly brought here, she didn't want to marry Dhritarashtra or anybody. And then they said, Bhishma Deva said, okay, now you can go back. But she didn't want to go back because no, it doesn't look nice for her to go back again once she has been brought here. But somehow she went back and then she asked Shalva to marry her. But Shalva said, no, you have already been carried away by Bhishma. Now I cannot marry you. Like that, he also deserts her. So in this way, Amba was very much affected. We all know that this Amba only became Shikandi, in order to kill because she was very angry with Bhishma Deva for whatever he has done. Yeah, she asked Bhishma Deva, you please marry me, she said. Bhishma Deva said, already I have taken a vow. I cannot marry. So this is the way she was struggling between Bhishma Deva and Shalva and like this. So this Shalva was a friend of Mura. So when this Shalva was killed, Dantavakra. So this Dantavakra was a friend of Shalva. And after Shalva was killed, Dantavakra was very much upset. So he wanted to revenge the killing of his friend Shalva. So that is why Dantavakra comes to have a fight with Lord Krishna. And at that time, Bhagavatam describes that this Dantavakra was not properly armed. He was only very angry at that time. He didn't plan anything, but he was very angry. He was red hot with anger, Bhagavatam says. And then with great anger, he comes down and then he starts speaking very angry words at Krishna. He says, Krishna, you are my relative. Actually, Dantavakra is a maternal cousin of Lord Krishna. He says, you are my maternal cousin, but still, you are a person of poor intelligence. So that is why you have got to be killed because you killed my very close friend Shalva. And I want to avenge the death of my friend Shalva. And I will get relief from this indebtedness, my obligation to my friend Shalva, only by killing you. So in this way, he just speaks nonsensical words in great anger. And then Bhagavatam says he was having only a club in his hand. He didn't even come in a chariot. He just came walking and he was just having a club in his hand. Seeing this, Lord Krishna, who was seated on the chariot, he just got down from the chariot. See how nicely Krishna is observing all the dharmas. Dharmasya Prabhuhu Achyutaha. Because he has given the dharmas, he always follows the rules and regulations. So Krishna comes down from the chariot and then seeing that he is having only a club in his hand, Krishna also takes his Kaumodaki, the club in his hand, to have a fight with Dantavakra. And then it is said that Dantavakra with his club smashes the head of, with great force, he smashes the head of Krishna. But Krishna was unmoved from that place. He was not at all affected. He didn't feel any pain also. And then Krishna very casually, he takes the Kaumodaki and then he smashes the chest of Dantavakra, by which his heart was very much, it was smashed to pieces and he started vomiting blood and he fell down dead. And then again, Dantavakra's brother also came for fighting with Viduratha, I think his name is. He also came to fight with Krishna and Krishna killed him also. So these are a few pastimes where we see, it's not very prominent pastimes, but these pastimes are there wherein Krishna uses the Kaumodaki Gada. So now we move to the next. So this is the Kaumodaki, and we can remember that this Kaumodaki is very pleasing to the earth by demolishing the demons. It gives pleasure to the Bhumi Mata. So this Kaumodaki Bhagavato and Dayitam Smareta. Dayitam, it says very nicely, Prabhupada writes, is very dear. Daita means one who is very we have a song, that Bhajan Radhe Madhava Daite, we call her. One who is very dear to Madhava. Radharani is called like that, Madhava Daite. So this Daita means very, very pure, very dear to Krishna. This Kaumodaki is also just like we saw that Sudarshana Chakra is very dear to Krishna. Kaumodaki is also very dear. That is why we have a beautiful verse in the Narayana Kavacha. Ade Swanisparshunave Spulunge Nishpindi Ajita Priyasi. Ajita Priyasi. Ajita means Krishna, one who is unconquerable. And Priyasi means this one is very, very the Ajita Priya. Ajita Priya means one who is very, very dear to Krishna. So this is very dear to Krishna. Kaumodaki Bhagavato Dayitam Smareta Digdha Marati Bhata Shonita. Shonita means the blood. Shonita Kardamena. And then we you have to kind of meditate upon, he says, the yogi should meditate upon mala. Mala means the nice garland. So, Mataji, you can show the slide of the garland. So, see, so this is a garland. So, Krishna always loves to wear garlands. As we all know, he is very famous for wearing the Vaijayanti Mala, no? That Vaijayanti garland, which is made up of 5 different kinds of flowers. So, and here in the verse also it says that it is very fresh and fragrant. That is why now we can see in the verse it says bees are humming from the flower garland which the Lord is wearing, which means it is very, very fresh and fragrant. So it is very important that we offer fresh and fragrant flowers to Krishna. The picture of the deity of our Krishna we have in our house also, it is very important for us to offer the flowers. And Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Upagritam Ashnami Prayatatmana. If you go to 11th canto, also we can see nice verses on deity worship. There is a full chapter, I think 1 or 2 chapters are there, where Krishna describes how his deity is to be worshipped. In that also very specifically, Krishna mentions that I have to be offered nice flowers. So these flowers are very, very dear to Krishna, and many times he is called as Vanamali, or the one who wears garlands of the forest flowers. Or also he is also called Namah Pankaja Nabhaya, Namah Pankaja Maline, Pankaja Maline. Pankaja Mali means one who wears the garland which is made of lotus flowers. See, Mataji has put all the nice flowers, lotus is there, marigold, palash, tulasi, parijata, red hibiscus, jasmine. So all these flowers. So this offering flower is very, very pleasing to Krishna. So that is why it is also said that when we offer, take a hibiscus flower, whatever flower, jasmine flower from the plant and offer it to Krishna, it is said that the tree from which the flower originated, that tree gets all the benefit of the puja. So then the tree is bound to get liberated or a next beautiful next janma to perform nice bhakti as a human being. So whenever we take flowers, trees are also getting the benefit of the flowers being offered to.
हो जाएगा तो फिर इसमें मोबाइल चाहिए तो फिर उसके लिए बिना मोबाइल के भी आ जाएगा.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So, and then that is why this Pushpa Kainkari, a very, very important service which we offer to Krishna.
Sound लगा बटन दबाए.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can you please mute? Yeah. Hare Krishna. So this Pushpa Kainkariya or offering of flowers is a very, and we can see that it is a very simple service. Just we get some flowers and then we offer it to the lotus feet of Krishna. But Krishna becomes great, takes it as a very great service. It is called Pushpa Kainkariya. That is why we can see in the Alvars in the south, many of them take up this service. Just they were engaged only in this service, no other service. Only just planting a nice, having a nice flower garden, picking the flowers, making nice garlands and offering it to Krishna. Even today, if you go to ISKCON temples, there are dedicated Matajis, no? Who are very expert in making garlands for Krishna and offering it to the Lord. This is a very, very beautiful, pleasing service to Krishna. And we can see amongst the Alvars, this Periyalvar, who is the father of Andal, as we all know, her birthday was, appearance day was celebrated recently, 3-4 days back, last Friday. So this Periyalvar, he was doing this service of planting a nice garden, and every day he used to collect nice, fragrant, fresh flowers and make a nice garland and offer it to Vatapatra Shahi, who is the temple deity there in Srivilliputtur. And we also know about Andal, who was his daughter, and as a young girl, she was very fascinated by this garland, no? Seeing the beautiful garland. And then she was thinking, it looks very, very heavy from outside. How will the Lord wear it all day through? No, let me just check how it is nice or not, how it feels light for the Lord or how it feels for the Lord. So she put the garland herself first, and then she felt that, okay, it looks very nice and it doesn't look very heavy, it is very nice. And then she put the garland back in the basket, and Periyalvar used to take that same garland and offer it to Vatapatra Shahi. And Vatapatra Shahi was very pleased to wear the garland which was worn by Anda. So that is why she is called Chudi Kodutha Chudarkudi, we call her in Tamil. Chudi Kodutha Chudarkudi means one who offers the garland which is already worn by her. We cannot imitate Anda. She is a pure devotee of the Lord. And she says, that is why she says in the Tiruppavi also, she says, no, Tuyomai Vandu, Tu Malar Tuvi Toldu, which means we have to offer fresh, pure flowers to the Lord with a pure heart. That is very, very important. Pure heart means we don't offer the flower to Krishna and say, I'm offering this flower, Krishna, you please arrange for my personal some benefit. No, it is not a barter exchange. That is why it is said we have to offer it a very pure heart, the flowers. And then the next Alvar is again Tondaradi Pudi Alvar, who is another Alvar who was very much engaged only in the service of maintaining a nice flower garden and taking the flowers and offering mala to the Lord. And another was the disciple of Ramanujacharya. His name is Anantalva. This pastime is very beautiful. This Anantalva, who was a disciple of Ramanujacharya, was asked to be Ramanujacharya those times, no, so many years back. At that time, the Tirupati was not the same Tirupati as we see now. There was no vehicle, nothing was there, no roads were there. It was a sheer forest. It was in the forest area, and the hill was there, and the deity was there. That's all. No one else was there, not like now. So in those times, Ramanujacharya was feeling very, he was very feeling very much in his heart that the Lord of Tirumala, his Venkateshwara, should be offered nice flower gardens. So he was requesting, any one of his disciples, can you please go there to Tirumala and then stay there and have a nice garden and every day offer for arranging flowers to the Lord. Like this he was asking. And then one person volunteered, and that person is Anantalva. Nobody will go. It is like life and death if you go there. So there is no guarantee because wild animals were there all around. There was no facility, no buildings, nothing was there. But Anantalva agreed to go there, and then he went along with his wife. And his wife was pregnant at that time. Can you imagine? They had to climb the hill, by foot. They climbed the hill, and there he was personally digging the tank and all, arranging for the flower garden very nicely to arrange everything. He had no help, and he didn't want also to take any help, and he wanted to do all the surveys ordered with the spiritual master on his own. And at that time, when he was digging the well tank for take the water for the flower garden, his wife was pregnant, and she was taking all the sand, the sand which came out of digging, and it has to be taken and thrown in another place. When she was carrying this, she was pregnant with a child, and she was doing this heavy job. And then the Lord of Tirumala, Balaji, was very upset seeing this. This lady is pregnant, and why this man is forcing her to work like this, and he will not take any help also. But anyway, let me try like that. The Balaji took the form of a young boy, young brahmachari boy, and he went to Anantalvar and said, "Can I please help you?" Like that he said. And no, you go. I don't want anybody's help. This is an order by my spiritual master. I will do this service only by myself. Like that, he sent him away. But Balaji was feeling so much for this lady who was not for him at least, just for the sake of the wife, for his wife who is pregnant. Balaji wanted to give some help. And then he knew that this Anantalvar knows, he becomes very angry if he goes near. So that is why what he will do, when the wife, Anantalvar's wife, will carry the mud to some distance, and when the road is turning, the turning comes from there, Anantalvar cannot see. So that place he will come to that Mataji and say, Mataji, you are pregnant, I want to help you. Please give me the sand, I will go and throw. And he looks so sweet, that Mataji cannot refuse. So like this he was doing for some time. And then Anantalvar saw that this lady doesn't seem to be getting tired doing all the job. Maybe she is getting some help. So he got some doubt that somebody is helping him. So Anantalvar went and saw, and he saw that this small boy is coming and trying to help his wife in carrying the sand. Then he became very upset. Then what he did, what are you doing? I told you not to come. Why are you coming like this again and again? And then he took a crowbar. We call it gadapara in Tamil. I don't know in Hindi. I don't know what is the word. He took a crowbar in his hand, which is used to dig sand, because he was using that crowbar to dig the well there, tank there. And then he threw, because the boy was running very fast. He's a young boy. So he threw the crowbar towards him. And the crowbar went and hit the chin of that young boy. And that boy went very fast, and he went inside the temple. And then Anantalvar was running behind. And then we saw that once he went inside the temple, inside the Sannidhi, the boy went inside and nothing was there, and only the Lord, the deity of the Lord, was there. And he could see that from the chin of the deity of Lord Balaji, so much blood was oozing. And then he could understand, this Balaji has come in the form of the boy in order to help me, and I have thrown the crowbar and I have hurt him, and now blood is oozing. So he couldn't tolerate. And then he took some nice camphor. And then that was the medicine that was available. Naturally, they could use these natural medicines. He took the camphor, made it a fine paste, and applied it on the chin of Lord Balaji. So that is why, and even today, and then he sought forgiveness from the Lord. Lord, please forgive me that for offending you like this. And then Balaji said, don't worry, I can understand the amount of service, attitude you have towards your spiritual master, that you want to do all the service by yourself without even taking any help. And so now, in order for people to remember the services you render to me and to their spiritual master, from here on, every day this camphor will be applied to my chin and it will be like this in white color. Even today, if you go to Tirupati Balaji, we can see the deity form. Even if you see the picture in the Google also, you can see there is the lot of camphor, white material they have pasted like that. No, they put on the chin of the Lord. And even today, you can see the same crowbar which was used to hit the Lord. It is still hanging in Tirupati temple. Now they have mentioned that this is the crowbar used by Ananta Alvar to hit the Lord. So this is the way these Alvars were so much engrossed in serving, offering flower. This worship of offering flower garlands to the deity was so much important to them. And then in Bhagavatam, we have the garland maker called Sudama. This Sudama was in Mathura. And when Krishna entered Mathura, no, because we know from the Akrura story that Akrura is arranging for Krishna to be brought, Krishna and Balarama to be brought to Mathura. The first day when Krishna entered Mathura along with Akrura, Krishna wanted to go around Mathura and see. When we go to a new place, we have this inquisitiveness to go around and see the city, and Krishna is exhibiting that. So he went around, and at that time, on his own, he went to the house of the garland maker called Sudama. Uninvited, he goes there, and Sudama, the garland maker, was a great devotee of the Lord. He has heard about the Lord. He was very happy to receive the Lord, and he offered him all the upacharas for him. And then he asked the Lord, I want to serve you in whatever way, please order me. And then he knew that the Lord likes flower garlands very much, and Sudama, the garland maker, offered a very beautiful garland of fresh fragrant flowers. And then wearing that, Krishna became very, very pleased, extremely pleased. He said, whatever you want, I will offer it to you. And then the Sudama garland maker said, I want only unflinching devotional service at your lotus feet, and I want to be compassionate to all the living entities. I want the association of your devotee. That is what he asked, the garland maker. But Krishna was very pleased. He said that in addition to this I grant you. In addition to this, I grant you a lot of wealth and your happiness, health, material prosperity, a long life of everything I am offering to you. Like this, Lord offered on his own so many benedictions to this garland maker. So in this way, this offering of garland is so nice service to the Lord. And we can now go to a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:15-19. Yes. So this describes what are all the flowers we have in the Vaikuntha. Now, because the third canto itself, this is a 15th chapter, is a description of Vaikuntha Loka, wherein what are all there, we can have a glimpse of Vaikuntha through these verses. And here it says very nicely, Mandara Kunda Kurabotpala Champakarna Punnaga Naga Bakulambu Japari Jataha Gandherchite Tulasika Bharanena Tasya Yasmin Tapassu Manaso Mahumanayanti. I didn't send this verse to Jyoti Mataji, She prepared this before I sent, and she has put all the flowers. See, the translation goes like this. You're not able to see? Somebody is saying not clear display.
We can see Mataji. We can see Mataji.
We can see, so maybe that's some. I can also see. Although flowering plants like the Mandara, Kunda, Purabaka, Utpala, Champaka, Aruna, Punnaga, Nagakeshara, Bakula, Lily, and Parijata, they are all there in Vaikuntha Loka. They are full of transcendental fragrance, but they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulasi. For Tulasi is given special value of importance by the Lord, who garlands himself with the Tulasi plants. Special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with the Tulasi leaves. So that is why all these are very, very fragrant, but they all understand the austerity and the tapas and the special position occupied by Tulasi Mata. She is Govinda Charana Priya, she is called, Tulasi Mata always wants to be at the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is why in Vaikuntha Loka, we see Prabhupada writes in the purport also, there is no envy there that you are looking very beautiful, lotus is beautiful, Parijata is more beautiful, I am less beautiful. No, there is no superiority or inferiority complex. There is no complex at all if you go to Vaikuntha Loka. So whatever capacity, they just offer their services. So this is what the beauty. That is why it is very important that we offer the flowers to the Lord. And here you can see the word Sumanaso. The word Sumanasaha is meant for flowers. Sumanasa itself means, the equivalent in Sanskrit is Sumanasaha, means flowers. Whenever we offer the flowers, we can remember this word. I am offering Sumanasa. See, and what a nice word. Sumanasa means very good mind. Su means very good. Manasa means all we know mind. Sumanasaha. Also, Prabhupada writes in the word to word equivalent, it means good-minded or Vaikunta-minded. If you read the equivalent synonyms in this verse, Prabhupada writes it as Vaikunta-minded or good-minded. And that is what Andal says that, Tuyomai vandu Malarthu Vittal. So whenever we offer the flowers, we always remember that we should offer with a very pure mind. So for this, we remember a very beautiful verse again of what are all the 8 kinds of flowers which we can offer. Next slide, Mataji. Yes. So now this is a verse we have to nicely learn. And whenever we are offering flowers, we have to remember this verse. No, this gives the 8 kind of flowers which are very, very dear to Krishna. So even if you are in a desert place, even supposing in Abu Dhabi they stop supplying the flowers because there is no transportation from India, something like that. If it happens like that, also these 8 flowers we can always offer. There is no lockdown. There is no lockdown applicable to these flowers. So anytime we can offer these 8 flowers. This was a very nice verse which we can teach all your children also. So this verse we can recite also when you are offering the flowers. So now we can just try to imbibe all these beautiful qualities. Okay, Supriya, can you follow me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Ahimsa prathamam pushpam.
Ahimsa pratamam pushpam.
Pushpam indriya nigraha.
Pushpam indriya nigraha.
Sarvabhutadaya pushpam.
Sarvabhutadaya pushpam.
Shama pushpam visheshatah.
Shama pushpam visheshatah.
Jnanam pushpam tapah pushpam.
Jnanam pushpam tapah pushpam.
Dhyanam pushpam tataiva cha.
Dhyanam pushpam tataiva cha.
Satyam ashtavidham pushpam.
Satyam ashtavidam pushpam.
Vishnu preetikaram bhavet.
Vishnu preetikaram bhavet.
Can you read the translation?
The flower of non-violence is the first and foremost pratamam. The
Yes.
second is the flower of sense control.
Hmm.
The third is the flower of showing compassion to all living beings.
Hmm.
The fourth is the flower of tolerance or patience, which is very special.
Hmm.
The fifth flower is transcendental knowledge.
Hmm.
The sixth is the flower of austerity.
Hmm.
The seventh is the flower of contemplative meditation on the Lord.
Hmm.
The eighth is the flower of truth,
Hmm.
speaking according to scriptures.
Hmm.
These 8 kinds of flowers delight Lord Vishnu and are very dear to him.
This is very, very dear to Krishna. Vishnoho preetikaram bhavet. So these pushpas of ahimsa or non-violence and sense control, compassion, tolerance, transcendental knowledge, austerity, contemplative meditation, which we are doing by learning the verses from the Dhyana Sopana and the flower of truth, always speaking the truth. All these are the very, very dear to the Lord. So that is why when we offer, doesn't mean that we should not offer the real flowers. Krishna loves. We can see have you seen any picture of Krishna without he is wearing the garland? So Krishna loves to wear garlands. No? So this, whenever we offer flowers, it is also nice to remember these qualities, no, which we can, by reciting them again and again, we can make a real endeavor, no, to develop these qualities. And if we offer these qualities as flowers at the lotus feet of the Lord, then Krishna becomes extremely pleased. So then we move to the next capital. The key we saw. Nice flower garland, and then we move to the pearl necklace. So the pearl necklace which Krishna is wearing on the his neck, see, you can see here. So you can see the nice pearl necklace, the first picture Krishna is wearing. No, so and here Prabhupada and the translation goes also that it represents the pure living entities who are always engaged in his service. So see the place where Krishna holds the pure living entities. So that is why Krishna also says, no, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam Sadhunam Hridayam Tvaham Madanyattena Jananti Naham Tebhyo Managapi. So something very precious, no, we hold it very close to our chest, no. So that is the way Krishna holds all the precious living entities. Pure living entities who are his pure devotees are very close to his heart. So that is where near the neck he holds them in the form of a necklace. It's in the form of a very precious things. Precious diamond or like that he feels. So that is why it's very important. that we will be very alert and very careful not to do any offense to the pure devotees of the Lord. The Vaishnava aparad is something which we have to strive to avoid. Many times, no, it is unknowingly or knowingly we commit so much of offense, but we have to understand that these are all, that is why Krishna is not affected even when you offend him directly. But when the devotees are offended, Krishna cannot tolerate. The devotees will tolerate when we offend the devotees, but Krishna will not tolerate. Krishna will not tolerate the devotees being offended. That is why, if we can see in the Jaya Vijaya pastime also, the Sanat Kumaras were not allowed by Jaya Vijaya to enter into the Vaikuntha Loka. No, we know that they were stopped. That is why they had to take birth like Hiranyakashipu and all. At that time also, Lord Krishna speaks a very beautiful verse. He says in the 16:2, is it possible, Mataji, to go to the verse? 3rd canto, 16th chapter, 2nd verse. In the Veda base, if it is possible, you can do. 3:16:2. Yes, you can go 3rd canto. 3, yes. 16th chapter, 1:6. 1:6. Yes, 2nd verse. So here he says very nicely, Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Etau Tau Parshadau Bhahyam Jayo Vijaya Evacha Kadarthi Kritya Mam Yadvo Bhakvakratam Atikramam. Can you go to the translation? Yes, the personality of Godhead said, these attendants of mine, Jaya and Vijaya by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me. See the words? Jaya and Vijaya, whom they stopped? They stopped only the Sanat Kumaras, correct? But what is Krishna telling? They have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me. So that is what Krishna means. So when you ignore another pure devotee who is a Sanat Kumara, what are you doing? You are actually not ignoring that person. You are actually ignoring me, Krishna says. So this is the position Krishna gives to the pure devotees of the Lord. That is why Prabhupada also writes in the purport that in offending a devotee, one neglects the Supreme Lord himself. So when we offend a devotee, we are not offending the devotee. We are offending and neglecting the Supreme Lord himself. That is why Krishna says here, by doing an offense against, they are doing offense against you because of ignoring me. So this is what Krishna very clearly says. So that is why we have to be very careful when we meditate on this particular verse and remember the pearl necklace when we chant the verse. What do we remember? That let us become very pray to Krishna, that let us not offend any devotee, because you are holding all these devotees as precious pearls in your neck. So this is what we have to remember. So now we chant the verse, remembering all the meanings of Kaumodaki, the flower garland, and the the pearl necklace which Krishna is wearing. Remembering this, we will chant one more time. Supriya can follow me. Kaumodakим Bhagavato Dayitam Smareta.
कौमोदकीं भगवतो दयितां स्मरेत
Digdhamarati Bhatashonita Kardamena.
दिग्धाम् अराति भटशोणितकर्दमेन
Mala Madhuvrata Varutha Giropagushtam.
माला मधुव्रतवरुतगिरोपगुष्टाम्
Chaityasya Tattvamamalam Madhimasya Kanthe.
चैत्यस्य तत्त्वममलं मणिमस्य कण्ठे
Manim Asya Kante. Mani, the pearl necklace he is wearing. Kanta, as we all know, it is neck or throat. Kanta is throat. He is wearing there. And what is he wearing? Chaitasya Tattvam Amalam. Amalam means very, very pure devotees. This is a principle representing the pure living entities or the devotees of the Lord who are engaged in his service. Okay. Thank you.